What is happening, budget builders, and welcome back to the channel. We're here in the garage where there's not much left other than the 911 and this. I can't tell you what this is yet. You can kind of see what it is. It's a curved dash, 120 something years old, but you'll see that later on. I need to get the 911 to the shop so we can get it wrapped up and attempt to get it running later this coming week, but there is something in its spot there that we need to get moved around and outside under the carport. So a few months ago, a good friend of mine, Chad, hit me up and offered me something really stinking cool. A really rare 1964 Econoline travel wagon pop-top van. It has been off the road for at least 15 years. Not long ago, we pulled it out, got it to the shop, and in today's video, we're gonna attempt to get it running.
How's it going? I'm Michael and this is Budget Builds. My dad and I bring rusty, crusty old cars back to life.
With the Econoline back to the shop, let's go ahead and start checking this thing out. I'm sure you noticed when we were getting this thing loaded up, it had those goofy Mustang wheels. So when Chad bought this thing 5 years ago, it was actually sitting up on jack stands, and he stuck those on just as rollers, and thankfully, he offered to trade those rollers for this set of rollers, which actually have nice tires. And y'all tell me this, I think that fits this thing quite a bit better. A little bit more on the background. Like I said, Chad bought this thing about 5 years ago. It had been sitting up in that carport there, but the gentleman that he bought it for about 10 years before he bought it had started tearing this thing apart and doing a mild restoration, I guess you would say, on it. Things came around and nothing has ever really happened with this. So that puts us right at about 15 years since anything has happened with this thing, and it's time to get it back on the road. Let's start from the back and work our way up. So this thing is just absolutely stinking awesome. We've got a little rust back here, you'll notice, but pieces like this, you can buy this whole corner piece for like $100. Super reasonable on these. And you can see, check those out. They're already starting to deteriorate a little bit, but they had new seat covers put on it about 15 years ago. A little dirty, and you can see they're all sun-baked and everything. But those are cool to have. We are missing the back interior here, but we have a set of both. We actually have both of the original Hobbenflubers here. What are those things called? Cot. Yeah, cots. There you go, cots. So this one, and then there's another one under there. Original floor mat. Over here, oh, this thing is just so stinking cool. Look at that. Pull out step. It's got a little rot. We'll have to fix it there. This thing is unbelievably solid underneath. It's just those few little spots. Oh, gonna try to swing around you there. It looks like he went through and either had this restored or restored it himself. Yeah, definitely restored it himself. But that is actually all the tin work and the doghouse that goes over the motor there. Got some fancy fabric. We are missing all of the rear interior here, but it kind of makes it cool because you're open to doing whatever you possibly could want to under here. It does have this nice lighting at least, so that's good. What's kind of cool about this one is it is a factory automatic. Most of these were manual, and it still has that C4 back there, and it came originally with a 170. I did code this out, and it's actually a 68-200, which is cool because that's going to be a little bit more power. I'm assuming it had some engine issues, and they were getting this stuck in here, and things never got finished up. So we have to finish that up. Let's see. It's got what looks like a newer, maybe refurbished, walk around here if you want. A little Holly there. Pretty clean little motor. It's actually sitting on a wood block. That's why this thing is so nose forward. It's not on the body, it's sitting on the suspension. There is no motor mounts. Not sure what that's about. I'll have to get a wrench on there. We can see if it's freed up. Let's go ahead and first pull those spark plugs. Let's check the condition of the cylinders. Maybe soak a little bit down in there. It's fairly dry in here, but at the same time, as long as it's been sitting, we want to make sure everything is good to go. You see, this probably came from the original motor. This is your regulator, voltage regulator, your generator. This one has a generator on it. It looks a little nicer, but it's fairly complete for the most part. We got our little plants that are going to ride with us. That's nice. It's kind of nice. I got my little seat here to work on while we pedal on the motor. First thing, we've got a little bit of rat's nest trash on top here. Let's go ahead and blow from around each of the spark plugs. Let's pull them and verify everything's looking okay. We'll soak everything down in there and make sure the engine turns over nicely. Oh my, there's no oil filter on this thing. I will check the firing order later on to verify everything is correct, but for the time being, I've gone ahead and marked all of our wires so we know exactly what it is. This is like the perfect work outside in the rain vehicle. Whew. That crispy old plug. Little sooty, not too shabby though. No rust, that's the good thing. Oh, break my wrist or the ratchet. We will definitely throw some new spark plugs in there. So far, so good. And that one was actually leaking. That one wasn't even seated. See, it was actually leaking compression past the. Only caught a couple threads. Hopefully, it's okay in there. Where it was blowing all past. No rust though. That is a good sign. Just because we don't see any rust doesn't mean this thing hasn't seen any kind of moisture, and just to be safe, let's soak it down for a little bit. .13/16 bolt. Let's see if it's free. Oh, it's sitting all the weight on there. It is free, but look at it walking over. When picking this thing up, I had noticed we didn't have motor mounts. So we went ahead and grabbed a new set. We can get this thing up. I'll jack it from underneath, bolt it down, and then we'll try to turn it over. Jack and block under the oil pan. So we're up enough to get those new motor mounts put on. Keep coming. Oh, go, I missed the hole. Go up just a little bit, please. All right, go ahead. Beautiful. It is bolted back in, and now it's time to see if it'll turn over. Oh yeah. Nice and easy. I'm going ahead and getting all this wiring put back on. Thankfully, this motor must have been really similar because it's all going on really nicely. Got our coil hooked back up, got our sensors here. This is our starter wire. What I'm doing is cleaning up all these connections using this little file so we have nice good connections everywhere we go. Obviously need a battery wire here. Probably could use a new starter solenoid. I think that one's nice enough, right? We'll get this wiring wrap up and it'll be time to see if it'll turn over using its own power. We aren't showing any oil on the dipstick, but I do want to verify we don't have any water or anything in the bottom here. Anything that's settled that we don't want in there. Let's drain it, let's get fresh in this thing, and let's try to turn it over with the starter. Ow! Completely empty, but no sludge or anything. Nice aluminum crimp washer on there still. So We should be good to go. Let's get some fresh in this thing. Start turning it over. We've got a brand new FL1A here, which is crazy. I feel like every single Ford in existence takes this filter just about. I'm going to go ahead and pre-fill it. We know that engine's been sitting there dry for a little while. And we'll do some cranking over, verify we have good oil pressure before we try and run it. Don't need no stinking funnel. It's nice too to not only have fresh oil in here, make sure we have an oil change before we try to start it or turn it over, but you know you have lubrication on the top end up here. There we go. Dead on the full. We got new battery cables installed. Sling a battery in it, jump it out, see if it'll turn itself over. See what we got. So we'll jump from the hot over to the start. Oh yeah, that's good. Might need a new solenoid. Dumb butt, completely forgot to ground it out. Now that we're grounded out, let's see what we got. Ow! I'll shock myself. We got nothings. If y'all don't mind, just check that for me. Let me know what you see. New voltage, which is good because we might have a good starter. Just a bad solenoid. Replacement solenoid. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. Sounds good, no? Nothing out of the ordinary. That is a noisy starter though, isn't it? It's a nice working position, isn't it? I got my seat, my handles, and everything. Really quick, I want to tell you something. So I did a little bit of research, give you a better idea of this thing. In 1964, they made 84,000 Econolines. They made less than 1,500 of these travel wagons. There's not an exact number, but there's less than 1,500, and that is just absolutely stinking cool. And y'all telling me, I feel like the earlier body style before they went to the strip taillights and the long, goofy-looking butt look a lot better. I think this is just absolutely such a stinking cool van. Now I'm going to go ahead, and you can see some crust on the points right here. Maybe, I think you can. We'll take some sandpaper. I've got some 600 grit here. What I like to do is slide it in between with it open, close it off, peel it out, and you can see the gunk that it's already pulling up. Now what I want to do first is you can spin it over and you will actually see spark arcing from here just because of the crazy voltage your condenser puts out. You'll see some wild sparks going on down here. So let's check that out, verify that is going on, and as long as it is, we'll close it off and verify our coil works. And then we should have fire at each of the plugs. Okay, we've got our jumper wire from here to the hot side. Let's check and see if we got any action going on down there. Nothing. I didn't see anything. It's popping up. I told you it'd be crazy. Now we're all hooked back up. This is back on. It's funny I said I'd check firing order, but if you see, they were so nice on your old caps. Look, they got all the numbers right there. Easy peasy for us. I've got our coil wire right here, and we should get some pretty wild spark jump out. Wow-wee! Borrowed some wires. 3 of them were pretty good. 3 were missing boots, and we also don't want anything arcing out in a butt van that is enclosed. Let's go ahead and get our fuel system hooked up, see if our fuel pump's working, and we'll see how this carburetor does and try to crank this thing. We have our fuel tank. We have our line run to our fuel pump. We have it run over, but first, you see that crud that shot? That's why we're flushing it through. All right, go ahead. Good enough. Not too shabby. All right, let's get it all hooked back up. Hook our ignition up. See if this puppy will start. Turn over long enough. Got a little sniffle, I think, right there. Ooh, wonder if her timing's right. Go ahead. I think she's got it. No, it's just that starter. Come on, you naughty little starter. Go ahead. It's out of time, isn't it? Let's try it one more time. Let's see if we're out of time. It acts like it's backfiring.
180 degrees off.
Yeah.
Nope.
It lied to you. Hey.
What in the world?
It seems like it's 180. Blah.
That was weird.
That was flipping weird. Hold on. Oh. Disconnect that for a second. This linkage that popped off was the accelerator pump.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you can see right here, we're actually missing that C-clip, which allowed this to pop off. And my dumb butt, I knew the choke was broken and didn't even think to look and assumed that's what this was when it fell off. But no, that was our accelerator pump. It just finally drained back enough, I guess, pulled enough fuel just from vacuum that we were able to actually get it to fire off. Little snap ring installed. Thankfully I had these random ones laying around, and now we have an accelerator pump.
I heard it.
Hey, weird. Doesn't run really good. It is wide open exhaust. I think most of that's just how wide open that exhaust is. It's not knocking or anything. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I can't complain with that. Let's see if we can figure out what we have going on. To me, it really sounds like the timing is just not quite right. What I like to do to get an idea is take a look at your distributor. Down here on the bottom, you'll see your painted edge. Now, where it actually clamps down, these are put together and painted all together. If it's been moved, the paint will actually have been moved. So what I'll do is I noticed it's missing paint to this side, and so I'm gonna I loosened it already. It's a 1/2-inch bolt in there. I'm gonna turn it back here just a few degrees. Let's go to see if that makes any difference. If you can see right there, I've marked it. Let's see where our timing's at now. What we want, you can actually see it right here on the side of the motor, is 6 degrees before top dead center at idle. We went ahead just to get a baseline to make sure, lined up top dead center, #1 on the compression stroke. This is where #1 is on your cap, and why am I brain farting? The rotor was actually turned over at 5. So we went ahead and moved all of these around, and maybe we're just that far off on timing. What we're looking for with an automatic is 12 degrees before. 6 is actually on a manual, so this, whatever this came out of, must have been in a manual to begin with. Okay, we're close now.
Really?
We're still off. I think we're gonna have to actually move the wires one more loop to make it that. But what we'll do is we'll end up having to pull the distributor, reclocking it, and sending it back down. And somebody had that distributor out and has it way clocked wrong. I didn't hear it knocking this time. I think that time was just that far off. I think the timing is out of whack. This is the fun part of messing with stuff that someone else has already messed with. That is your mark, again, lined up on top dead center. We know this is not actually anywhere near 1, but kind of close to 1. And we're on top dead center of that compression stroke. Now we'll pull this out and reclock it until when it drops in, it's actually aiming towards number 1 right here. We should be good to go. Now all of our marks are lined up. Number 1 is facing right where we need it to. Okay, retry number 1263. Well, I just realized this carburetor is actually just sitting here overflowing and dumping fuel. This whole intake's full. And that's not what you want with something that's already out of time a little bit. This was a remanufactured carburetor. You can see some beat marks on top. They've obviously had some issues with it. That may be a wrap for tonight. I'm going to dig into this carburetor, open it up. Let's see if we can get it to quit overflowing, but I probably want to let everything air dry and evaporate overnight, and in the morning we can jump back on this thing, and I bet it'll probably just fire right off. Well, that's grody. I probably should have just opened this carburetor up. Sometimes you just want to try, but you know something's been sitting for a long time. Oh, gross. Oh, I'm not even looking. Oh, gross. Oh my goodness, all that sediment and crud. You know something's been sitting for a long time, just get in the carburetor. We had the night to sit, let everything kind of dry out, evaporate. That fuel-wise, this thing was just completely flooded out. No matter what I did, that old Holly would not work. Threw an original style Autolite 1100 on there. Let's fire this thing up. Let's see how it runs. Maybe we'll have it dialed in now. Oh, we got fuel already. Oh my goodness, these old carburetors fight us. That fuel pump's pumping strong, filled it up, but it's actually leaking. Oh my goodness. Not sure if you can tell, but it's actually pretty warped. We've got a nice flat surface with our drill press table and some sandpaper. I believe that'll be good enough. It's pretty, ooh. Let's go just a little bit more till we'll go until we have a nice smooth surface all the way around, and I think we'll be good to go. I think she'll ride like that. It's pretty close, and also got a new accelerator pump. You mind turning it over for me really quick? Let's get some fuel pressure and see what it do. Perfect. Woo! Let me get up here, check timer real quick. We can't run it too long without water or anything. Oh, but it runs. Let's get this timing dialed. I think a lot of it, that timing, my goodness, was way off. That carburetor was pitiful. One thing Dad did do while I was reinstalling that carburetor, he re-pulled that distributor, reclocked it again. So we hadn't fiddled with it. I mean, it's I think a lot to do with that carburetor, but now we can go ahead and get our timing dialed in as well. Wow, the difference a carburetor and some timing makes on a motor. But that really is everything as long as you have compression and fire. That is all of it. So there she is, running good. It's got good oil pressure. It sounds really nice. We are obviously missing that exhaust and a water pump pulley. That's kind of as far as we can go with it today. because I have to order those few things or try to find them, at least that exhaust, so we can get this together, get it running a little bit better. There's no brakes on this thing whatsoever. We need to build the brakes, get the radiator in here, get the transmission topped off with fluid. I think it'll be time to try to drive it for the first time in 15 years. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I really hoped you all enjoyed us pulling this out, getting it put together and running for the first time in at least 15 years. I hope you all enjoy the odd, weird, different stuff that we do, like this incredibly rare travel wagon Ford Econoline. We have a lot more fun stuff like this coming. We have more coming on this one and our other projects. Of course, if you all are enjoying what we're doing, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, notification bell to keep up with all the fun stuff we have coming. And as always, thank you all so much for the incredible love and support that we've had so far on this channel. It's got us to where we are now, and we couldn't do it without all of you. But that'll wrap it up. Peace out. Catch you all on the flip side.